Live from San Diego, this is KUSI News.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt worked to defend the Trump administration's policies on crime and immigration yesterday. This as President Trump looks to ramp up immigration enforcement in major cities.
President Trump firmly believes that to maintain order in public safety, we must incarcerate individuals whose pending criminal charges or criminal history demonstrate a clear, ongoing risk to civil society. This is a common sense and sensible approach that the vast majority of Americans agree with, and it's time for the Democrat Party to get on board with what is right. When these criminals are caught, they must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and be sent to prison, where they can no longer terrorize our streets. This is the mandate the American people delivered to President Trump, and it's a mandate he intends to fulfill. Staying on the topic of public safety, new preliminary data released today by Customs and Border Protection in August shows that President Trump has delivered the most secure border in American history. For the fourth straight month, 0 illegal aliens were released into the United States by CBP. Nationwide encounters are down 93% below the peak of the Biden administration. Border Patrol apprehensions on the southwest border in the entire month of August were less than what was apprehended in 4 days in August 2024 under the Biden administration. President Trump has ended disastrous Biden illegal alien invasion. He sealed our border in record time, keeping this central promise he made to the American public.
That briefing comes one day after the Supreme Court lifted a lower court's limit on immigration stops in places like Los Angeles based on a person speaking Spanish or working in certain professions. In its wake, the Trump administration is expected to escalate its immigration operations in cities such as Chicago and Boston. Here to weigh in on the matter and what it means, and we're talking about Operation Midway Blitz now, targeting immigrants in the Windy City, is criminal defense attorney Vikas Bajaj. Vic, welcome back to the big show.
My pleasure, thank you.
All right, so what's shaken out? There are, by some estimation, somewhere between 500,000 to 2.5 million people living in the greater Chicago area that are not in the country legally. So that would seem to be a target-rich environment for people who are trying to deport people who are not supposed to be in the country.
Amongst many other cities in the United States, you know, sometimes the undocumented residents, let's say, of the United States of America concentrate in big cities, some cities with certain political affiliations, as it turns out. These are safe havens, sanctuary cities where these individuals have said, I don't have the paperwork to be here, I can't be here, maybe I even have a removal order by a federal court or an immigration court, but I'm not going to leave. It's too good here in the United States of America. So yes, these are breeding grounds for good enforcement opportunities, and that's exactly what's going on now, especially on the heels of the United States Supreme Court saying, hey, a district court, especially one in California here, who put the hold and the stop on the ICE administration's enforcement actions, those things can't get in the way of the greater good of the United States enforcing its laws. That's basically what the Supreme Court said. That injunction by the California District Court is stayed, so now ICE enforcement continues day to day.
But Chicago's local politicians, they have a very if you go by polls, a very unpopular mayor and Mayor Johnson, but he is saying, hey, we are not going to cooperate in any way with the federal authorities on this matter. He has written more than one executive order on that. He's instructed the police chief and whatnot to cooperate. Who carries the bigger stick in this argument?
The federal government, beyond any shadow of a doubt. No matter how you look at this in the mirror, it's black and white. The power of the purse strings is what we're talking about here, Paul. The amount of money, the dollars that comes in from the federal government for food programs, for safety, for transportation, for anything you can possibly imagine is enormous, even when compared to big cities like Chicago. And big cities like Chicago, using that as an example, have significantly mismanaged their finances. So they need the federal dollars more now than ever. So there's significant influence by the federal government.
But I don't have to tell you that there are going to be progressive judges lining up to block every little step of this operation, every step of the way, in the hopes of just prolonging it, and so, because they know that President Trump will not be in power forever, and perhaps in the next presidential election there'll be a more favorable president that sees things their way, so the whole thing is stall, stall, stall. aren't we going to see just a series of federal judges sticking their beak in?
Absolutely, and that's what you're seeing now. The good thing about it, though, the light at the end of the tunnel is there will be finality and there will be certainty, the two things we look at once we're walking into a courthouse. And that means the Supreme Court has said, we're not playing this game any longer where a district court can stay enforcement or any of the actions of the administration for long. We're going to jump in and make a decision right now so there's finality that applies to the United States, and that's exactly what the court did here.
Yeah. So, but it seems like that doesn't sway some judges. They still get involved, and they still try to oppose even the Supreme Court ruling.
Well, this is one interesting thing. You know, sometimes when I'm in chambers talking with judges off the record without the black robe, I'm always just pleasantly surprised how they are people just like you and I who have opinions about everything. Now, those opinions, it's impossible to filter those away from their legal expertise and decisions that are before them. Let's just look at a practical example. Okay, you have a serious issue in front of a judge. Who's the judge? Is it Judge A or B? Well, Judge B likes these types of cases. You have a good shot. So that's a good example of day-to-day happenings which show us that the personal persuasion of judges leaks its way into decisions all the time. And that's why we have these discussions on whether a judge is left-leaning or right-leaning. The reality is we can expect it. Also, that reality is the counterattack is already in place, and the petitions to have the Supreme Court or the circuit courts, whichever one's appropriate, review those lower court decisions is already in place, and it's happening lockstep and very, very efficiently.
Oh, we're going to leave the conversation right there, sir. I appreciate you rolling in. I know you have a busy day, and we'll see you down the road, okay?
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Paul.